Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to work on the fuselage tail cone box. Well, first of all, let me apologize for how long it's taken to put this video out. My wife and I, as I mentioned in my last video, took a trip to Italy for 2 weeks, and when I came home, literally the day after I got home, I started working on my tail cone box again, and I ran into some issues. So let's go take a look at the drawings, and I'll show you what happened. Alright, so here is the drawing that we're going to work from today. We've already done a little bit of this at the very end of the last video. It's there's a lot to see here, a lot of intricate details, lots of sub-assemblies here that we've got to look at, lots of different views. You got your GG, JJ, you got your PP, HH, RR, all of these, and all of those are kind of listed over here on other side panels of the drawings here. So looking at this, it's kind of hard sometimes to see where you want to start. And so thankfully on this particular drawing, it's so detailed. There's so much to see that Sonex kindly made a list of a construction order here in this list. So the first thing that we're going to do is position and cleco the upper and lower cross ties, which is what we already did. If you look at the very end of my last video, I kind of have the side panels. Here's a picture of one here. We already have these vertical channels here going up and down. So I've already put these cross ties here to hold it together and kind of make it start looking like a tail cone. So that's kind of already done. And then the next step on here, and this is what I started immediately after I got back from Italy. The next thing is to position and cleco the aft lower skin to the lower cross ties, and the lower skin should sit inside the aft side skins and flush with the outside edge of the lower longerons. So this is really where I got stuck, and I'll show you why. So the lower skin here, if you look at the instructions, is part number SNX F2201. And that sits across the bottom. It sits on top of these cross ties, well, I guess below the cross ties. And then there's rivets that go into the rear longerons here, and there will be clecos that go across each one of these cross ties and holds it all together. So the first thing I did was to go and grab that skin out of the box, but I had a little bit of trouble locating it. So remember, this is an SNX F2201. I found the part that looked very close to it, but if you look on it, this is what I found in the box. It's not an SNX, it's an XNS F2201. And if you look at it, it's quite a bit different from the drawing. For example, there's an inspection hatch kind of in the middle of it right here. And additionally, none of the holes line up. And although the front is the right width for the size of the fuselage, if you look in the back here, it's quite a bit different. So this skin should only come out to be, this wide and not take up all of this room. Turns out that Sonex, with the original kit, had sent a bottom skin for the Xenos, not for the Sonex. So this part number looks pretty close to being correct, but some of these letters here are transposed. And it took me a minute to see it. I'm a little bit dyslexic, I think, and when I see things like that, I didn't even recognize it. And apparently the person who packed up this part also didn't see it. However, the gentleman who I bought the kit from did see it. So one of the first things you do when you get a brand new Sonex kit is you go through the inventory here, and there's all kinds of parts, probably hundreds of them in here that you've got to check out. And if you look at this part number that we were talking about, the SNX F2201, that's the lower skin. You can see that the previous owner had written down that it was listed as XNS, so he was actually able to see that, and I assume that he just assumed that it was correct and just marked incorrectly. Obviously you wouldn't know the difference when you first get a kit, so it was originally packed incorrectly. Somebody had packed the Xenos lower skin instead of the Sonex lower skin. So frankly, I was pretty nervous. I thought for sure that if I were to contact Sonex and tell them that, I've got this part that's wrong, I thought for sure they would say, well, yeah, you do have the wrong part. You're not the original purchaser, and honestly, it's been like 3 years since this kit was shipped, so you can buy a new one, or maybe they would work out some kind of a deal where they'd send me the part, but I have to pay for shipping or something along those lines. So I contacted them just to kind of see what could happen. And thankfully Sonex has a really good support system. I ordered the part on a Friday. They didn't reply until Monday, which was expected. Monday they replied and they said, yeah, well, we looked through all the documentation and we see that you know, it was purchased by somebody else 3 years ago, and we see when you purchased it and you know, paid the fee to transfer all the papers over to you and all that stuff. You know, typically we require you to do a full inventory within 30 days of receiving the kit. We see that you didn't receive the original kit, somebody else did, and that was 3 years ago. And they were kind of, you know, at the beginning of the email kind of trying to make it sound like, well, we're probably not going to do much for you. But at the very end, the person who replied to the email said, but we'll go ahead and send you the correct part anyway. So a couple days later, the correct part came in. It's sitting in a box over here. I'll open it up and we'll try and fit it now. I mostly just want to say how impressed I am with that customer service. I mean, they really probably could have just said, you know, sorry, it's too late. You should have told us this, you know, 3 years ago, or, you know, when you first got the kit, you should have done your own inventory. But you know, they stuck to it. They did the right thing, or you know, maybe not even the right thing, but they did something that was kind enough for me as a purchaser. I can't say enough about their customer service because of that. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, so I'm going to go pull it out of the box, and I'll put the skin that's on this right now away. I'm not going to be using it. Obviously, it's the wrong part. And we'll go ahead and connect the bottom skin to the tail cone here. It's all wrapped up in a big spiral here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off this plastic and see how it looks on the airplane. Alright, there's the correct part number. This one definitely fits side to side here on the front and all the way back to the back. Fits the way it's supposed to, and like I mentioned, it doesn't have that inspection hole right in the middle of the back there either. Alright, now that we've got this tail hook part here attached, next we need to take this piece of metal that is included, and I need to use that to make SMB F21-02, which is going to go right here. But there's measurements in the instructions over there that I need to actually cut this to the right size. Alright, so I'll go ahead and pull off this tail spring mount here and use it as a drill template for this spacer that I just made. The spacer will actually end up going on this side of it, but the holes are drilled properly on this side, so I'll just use this as the drill template. Eventually these holes get drilled up to 3/16 to accommodate and 3 bolts. Alright, well, I have my vertical stabilizer installed. A couple of points of direction maybe here if you're watching this to try and figure out how to do this yourself. I'm not sure this is the best way to do it, but this is what I found seemed to work the best. What I did is took out a couple of these clecos that were previously inside of these vertical channels here, and I just left these two in the middle. And the reason for that is that I need to have this, these longerons need to spread apart slightly in order to make room for this vertical part of the vertical stabilizer here. If you look at the top view here, it's sort of a, I don't know, trapezoidal shape here, and you got to kind of be able to move. See if I can get this in focus here. You got to kind of move the whole longeron and skin out a little bit on either side, and the best way to do that is by not having it clecoed into this vertical channel here. So having a couple in the middle to hold that channel in place, it allows the skin to bend slightly out as you move it. And then another tip that I figured out was if I put in the clecos on one side but not on the other, that allows the one side to move, and the other one does a little bit too, but it kind of holds everything in place while you're doing it. So I went ahead and purchased a endoscope here that I was using for other things. Plugs into my phone, gives me a camera view of what's going on inside, so you can see this is it's kind of going up and then looking upwards, so it's kind of the bottom of what I'm touching right here. You can see this part here. It's sort of a channel that needs to be drilled and clamped into place. It needs to be drilled in two places. So one of the places it's going to be drilled is once I get the skin down. I've got it being held up right now. But that skin is going to lay down here and have some pre-drilled holes that'll drill that bottom part of that properly. But it also goes into the back of this spring mount back here. So there's going to be 4 holes drilled into it through these 4 holes right here. So I'm using these clamps to hold that in place. And then I also have my clecos in place here, which trues it up to make it 90 degrees here. And then I'm using these clamps to hold it in place, and these clecos are holding the spring mount, and then it goes through this small bar here in the vertical stabilizer here, and then there's a piece of this C channel here that's part of the also part of the vertical channel, or it's part of the vertical stabilizer. And then there's the plate that goes right on the back of that. It's a spacer that we built a minute ago. And then that seat, or the and then that angle, this part that you can see in the image here, it kind of looks like a sort of a V. I'll try to get that in the picture a little bit better there. So it's an angle with a little slot cut out of it, and then that butts up against all of that. I'm using these C-clamps here to kind of hold everything together. You can see the bottoms of the C-clamps here and here that are just kind of pinching everything up and holding it all in place. So I think that this is the best way to do this. I haven't figured out a better way at this point anyway. And so what I'm going to do is pull out each of these clecos one at a time, and then drill straight in through that, and then put it in, and you're going to end up having a hole that comes out through this angle right here, right on this side of it. So that's where I'm going to go now. I'm a little nervous, but I don't see any other way forward, so that's what we're going to do. Alright, I'm not sure I understand all of the logic on this part here with building this spacer. I went ahead and did it. I put it into place. I drilled the holes and everything. I'm not sure what the point of that spacer is. If you look over here, It says that the spacer is required for assembly fuselage tail cone box only. The spacer will be discarded when the vertical fin is installed on the fuselage. So I'm not really sure what that's for. I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just to hold the place for now until I get this put into place. Anyway, I've removed that from the connection here as I'm starting to put it together, and that clip, so the clip that goes inside of here, that's what I was just having the clamping down on that to hold this all into place. And you can see here that spacer is no longer here. So thankfully I went ahead and removed that spacer in there. This, even though I drilled the holes in there, this still all lines up okay, so I'm okay with that. There's another one here at the top though that also has a clip or a spacer that needs to go away, and that's up here as well. It says the same thing. The 03 spacer is required only for assembly on the fuselage tail cone. The spacer is discarded when the vertical fin is installed on the fuselage. So that's also done. Anyway, I think that those spacers are mostly just put there so that I can, you know, put together the cone, and maybe this makes it easier, I don't know, so you don't have to do all of the stuff that I was doing with, you know, trying to put it all into place and line everything up. But I actually like it better the way that I did it, I think, because it holds everything together the way it's going to be in the real airplane. So anyway, I'm okay where it is. I'm going to go ahead and remove this clip that I made that goes on the bottom here. You can't see it in this picture because it's actually missing here. And then this upper one here, I have another one that comes out as well. Well, actually, it is in this picture. You can still see the spacer here. On this one, you cannot, though. It's missing now that it's ready to go together. Anyway, so I'm going to pull out those spacers and go ahead and fit up that, start drilling some holes where they need to go to hold that clip in place. One other thing, when I put the skin down here, I noticed the skin was hitting, you might be able to see just a little scratch in the paint here. The skin was coming down and actually hitting the spring mount here. So I'm using my deburring tool here to kind of cut it around, make it a little rounder here so it doesn't actually rub on that too much. Don't want that getting rusty if the paint gets removed. So I'll keep cutting this back a little bit until I feel like there's enough space there that it can move a little bit without cutting paint off. Alright, I've pulled out those two spacers now. Set those down over here, and I've got the clip up here on the top is now clecoed into place, and it's clecoed directly up against the part where it's going to go. And so these longerons here come back, and this is in the right spot. So if I drill in where the skin is, I'm going to pull that down here in a minute. That should put the holes in the right spots, going over the skin, through the longeron, and into that clip on the back side. This one has no holes in it. The one down here, on the other hand, I don't know if you can see that or not. You can just see some holes here. This is the same sort of clip here. It's got a little cut out of it. This one is different though. It's already bolted into place onto the rear spar here, the main spar of the vertical tail, and then there's holes drilled into this, pilot holes, that I'll use to place the holes in the right spots going into the upper longeron up here. So this is all upside down right now, obviously, with the tail pointing down. I'm not going to drill those yet. I've noticed that there's a little bit of movement here, which, see if I can get this on camera or not. If I move this, you can see that that clip moves a little bit too. And I need to make sure that the front of this is exactly where it needs to be before I drill those holes to make sure that it holds itself in the right spot. Anyway, go ahead and pull down the skin. There we go. So while this is clecoed in the back here, I can drill into these pilot holes here and get that down into the clip that's underneath that. Alright, well, here goes nothing. It's a pretty critical part here that I'm going to do once I put in these clecos. It's going to kind of determine whether it's kind of offset and twisted a little bit or not. Everything seems to be lining up really well though, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. The skin is, you know, it kind of falls directly in the middle between the skins here, and everything looks straight based on the cuts that were made at the factory. So we're gonna, I guess, just move forward. I'm not sure what else we can do here. I don't have any other tools or whatever to make this any better. I've already leveled it, everything seems fine. Alright, let's do it. Alright, have all of these clecos all the way down the sides here. All the holes are drilled through the bottom spars, through the bottom skin here. You can follow this all the way back. We have our tail spring mount here, is mounted in place correctly. Eventually I'm going to have to pull off the skin and roll it back up again and then draw the front portion of this. I just wanted to get the all this drilled into place before I did that. And I might actually flip this over and do it from the other side while this is still attached, just to make sure that it stays where I want it and this doesn't wiggle around too much when I'm doing that. One other thing I did, I had the music playing and wasn't paying much attention, but I went ahead and did this Crossmember box here. Added on these little clips that go in here. They're kind of shaped like an H. So kind of strengthens up this little area right here, and there's some slots in the upper longeron that these will slide into on either side. Those slots are right here and right over here, so those will slide right into there, and then the front of that bumps up against this and rivets in right here and on this side as well. So according to the plans, I did put the skin here. It's flush all the way along this outside panel here. Again, when we were, if you watched, I think the last video, the one before that, when we were attaching the side skins to these bottom longerons here, we made a little bit of a space between so that this bottom skin can actually fit flush up against it on both sides. And the instructions talk about having this skin come all the way up to the bend, which you can see it's pretty much right on the money here. So everything seems to be lining up pretty well. Alright, well, it's been about a week since the last little clip that I recorded there. Had to go back to work and, you know, do the things that pay for this airplane kit to be built. I've done a couple of little things between then and now. I have most of the day today to work on the airplane, so I'm going to keep chugging along at this thing. But let me show you really quick what I've done since the last clip was recorded. All right, so you'll see that I've put this cross member on that I was talking about previously. You can see down here in the front, I'll have to get some light over here, but it's got sort of a little bend kind of right in the middle here. Gives it a little tapered slope going up from the seat. This is actually upside down still. And you can see that little H clip looking thing right there. That slides right into the two slots that I was talking about before. And then I've got it riveted up, coming up from the bottom into the upper longeron in two spots on the far sides over there. By that I mean this hole right here and this hole up here in the front. You probably can't even see that with my finger and the light in the way, but... So one other thing I probably should mention here is that I've put several clecos in, quite a few actually, in an attempt to make sure that this is as square as possible. If you only put in maybe 2 or 3 maybe here, there's a chance that the little bit of space between the size of the cleco and the holes could make it slightly askew. So I'm going to go ahead and put in several more clecos in each of these locations, all the way through these vertical and horizontal not stabilizers, cross members here, and the C channels here going up and down, just in these corners down here, just in an attempt to try and make sure that they stay, you know, as square as possible. I did check it out with a square and make sure that the corners here were 90 degrees from the side to the side all the way to the back, and I did also level the entire thing from front to back just to make sure that it's level all the way and there's no twists in it. Thankfully the holes are drilled so well that they're really, I mean, they pretty much hold in place with those clecos and are just true, so it's kind of nice in that regard. All right, and then back here, I've already drilled out the holes through here and through this little, there's sort of a little clip back here that's cut out to accommodate this tail spring mount here. So I've pulled the skin off and I've gone ahead and put clecos into each of the spots where it goes into some kind of a crossbar or part of the spar here, just to hold everything again square the way it's supposed to go. I'm gonna go ahead and drill out the holes. There are pilot holes in the front up here that go through the spring mount here, so I just need to make sure I get this skin out of the way without bending it too far. I don't want to put a crease in it or anything, but I also need to have some space to get in there and do that. Once that's done and I'm able to put some clecos into it to hold it all in place, the next step is going to be to try and drill this little clip down here, which is kind of the same thing as what's above, except this is, well, this is actually the up side. This is the lower side here. But same thing, you can see that it has some holes here, pilot holes ready to go. I've gone ahead and centered it as well as I could here and on this side as well. And then I've clamped it with my C-clamp here to hold it in place. And then I picked up this nice little tool here at Harbor Freight. We'll see how well it works, but it's a 90-degree drill bit here, so I can actually get in and drill it in a small, tight space like this. It comes with some little 1/4-inch hex bits. Well, I had to buy the hex bits separately, but I went ahead and took my Dremel tool to cut off the end here just to make sure that it's as short as possible so I can really get into those tight spaces. This hex portion of it probably came out to about where my finger is right there. So I kind of trimmed off, I don't know, 1/3 of an inch or something like that. And so it kind of sits down inside of it a little farther, which gives me a little more space to drill in as I need here and back here. Anyway, we'll see how it works. It was pretty cheap. I think I paid $17 for it or something like that, and then the bits were, you know, another $5 for the 3/32. Then I got some 1/8-inch bits as well to up drill. But once I've drilled this hole through here with a pilot hole, I should be able to get to it from the top with a full-size drill bit, and then basically just be using clecos to hold things in place here. So there you go. All right, and then one last thing that I kind of want to get to today, if I can, is to add these spacers, or at least get them pre-drilled and ready to go. These spacers go, you're not going to be able to see this very well, but there is part of this clip that goes in here goes in, and then part of it sticks out this direction, and there's a slight gap between the top of that thing sticking out into here and the bottom of this skin here, and so you need a spacer to go in there to fill that space. None of this has pilot holes in it at all. Not the skin, not this cross beam, not the clip here, or these spacers. So I need to get this measured out to where I need to drill the holes in the right spots. They're going to accommodate CCP 46 rivets, so they need to be at least a 1/4 inch from each of the edges, and I'm supposed to put 3 of them into this. And then what I'll do is probably pull the skin off once I've got that figured out. Drill holes through this as well as this cross member, and then cleco it into place, and then do some drilling up from underneath to get it lined up with the skin properly. So we'll work on that later. It's one of those things where you got to just kind of do it a piece at a time and make sure you have everything lined up the way you want before you really start drilling stuff. And you know, obviously you want that to fit as perfectly as possible without you know, messing up holes that are or making it tweak the position of the metal here at all. Alright, so as best as I can, I have this little clip right here lined up with the edges of these 2 upper longerons here. And I can feel on both sides that they are equal and, you know, flush with it right there on both sides. If I were to turn the tail here a little bit, let me zoom out a little bit so that maybe it makes a little more sense. The tail here is facing down, the vertical stabilizer I mean, and if it moves one way or the other, that'll offset this very slightly. Now these are just pilot holes that I'm drilling for now. Eventually there's a spot in the front where the front spar is going to connect, and that'll be used to really center it. So I'm only going to do pilot holes for now. I believe that the instructions say to drill this up to CCP 44s, I think, 42s. I can't remember what the rivet is, and actually install the rivets, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm just going to do pilot holes for now, and then I'm going to remove the tail, but leave that in place with those pilot holes for now. And then eventually, when the time comes, we'll go ahead and put this on, drill it out, rivet it and everything, and make sure that it's all true and straight, just so that I don't have, you know, an airplane that wants to yaw to one side or the other because the vertical stabilizer is slightly askew. This is the most critical hole of all right here. Make sure that's as close to where I want it. That's going to be where I put in a cleco, which is going to hold everything in place while I drill other holes. So try to keep this as straight as possible, drill nice and slow. Well, I'll run the drill fast, but I'm not going to introduce the drill into the material quickly and push hard and kind of move things around. I'm just going to let it run fast, but slowly move it into the material so it all holds itself centered. Adding a little cutting oil at each step just to make sure that it stays lubricated here. Alright, so these final 2 holes on each side here, I'm not going to be able to get to until I pull off pull these screw holes out of here, or these screws out. So I'll go ahead and do that and at least get the back 2 screws here, or the holes here, and then we'll see what we can do from there. These farthest back holes that are back here, you might not even be able to see it. It's underneath this nut here. Alright, so I think I finally figured out what the reasoning is for those spacers that we made before. At this point I'm going to go ahead and take off this vertical stabilizer and put those spacers into place now that I have the holes exactly where I want them, into here and down into this section down here. And then I should be able to drill those holes a little bit more easily using the spacer as opposed to the actual vertical stabilizer here. And I can actually drill, I think, right from the back side going down here like this, without running into obviously this, which is the vertical stabilizer here. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this, pull it off, and yeah, drill those holes where they need to go. Go ahead and support this with my foot underneath so it doesn't fall or bend or anything while I pull out the rest of these clecos. Got to make sure I pull out the ones up here on the top as well. Well, actually, this is the lower part. Right now, the tail spring mount is cleated in the front, and I need to pull that off before I can get the vertical stabilizer out. Alright, so it's pulled off. I'm going to go ahead and put on the spring mount here in the back, just to hold that in place the way it should be with clecos and all that. And then this should be already clecoed in 4 spots, so this should be nice and solid. I'm going to go ahead and drill out the rest of these 4 holes, but I can do it from this side now using a 6-inch drill bit or whatever to get in there. Alright, so the edited drill bit, it's a little too short. I can't quite reach the hole using this one that I cut the end off of. So I'm going to try it with a longer one that was not cut. You can see how much longer it is, and that should give me enough space that I can actually get in and drill using that 90-degree drill bit tool that I got. Well, can't quite get in there straight because the tip of this black part here hits this upright, and so I'm just going to go ahead and put a little extension on this and put this up higher so that I can get a good straight drill into it. Yeah, that seems to work. Alright, well, looks like that's gonna do it. Looks pretty good. Alright, so one thing I just realized that I forgot, there's a hole that needs to be drilled into this tail spring mount here. It's going to be right up inside of this hole here, so I'm going to have to actually disassemble this again, drill that hole. Eventually there's going to be a spring of some kind that goes inside of here with a skid that goes on the back, so this will kind of come out a little farther, out to about here, and then it'll have a skid on the end. And that hole is going to make it possible for me, if that gets bent, to be able to unscrew the bolt and be able to replace the tail skid here. So I'll go ahead and pull this apart and then move forward from there. 3/16 hole drilled 1.25 inches from the end of this round stock here. Puts it in the right spot. I went ahead and deburred it and give it a little spritz of primer inside and out just to avoid any rust in the future, because it's steel and painted. So there you go. Alright, all reinstalled. If you look right down inside of there, you can see where the hole is, and I should be able to put a screw in there to be able to remove the skid that would come out of the back of this. Okay, next we're going to rivet this cross tie splice into the cross tie box that goes across here, and that should be pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. We drill out all the holes except for these two on the end that'll eventually be up drilled into the longeron on the airplane. It's all riveted up the way it's supposed to be. Now we'll put it onto the airframe. There we go, all reattached. There's 4 clecos there, and then I put these ones that go into the back. This one right here, which goes up into the back hole way back there. Alright, well I feel like that's a pretty good place to stop this video. I've been working on this part for several weeks at this point, and you know, I think I made pretty good progress. Next weekend I have a 4-day weekend, so I figure I'll get a lot of work done then, and well, I'll maybe throw another video into the works for that. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a like, and if not, well, give me a reason why. Tell me in the comments what I could do better. Alright, thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.